Hi, good afternoon. Okay, this video is going to be about several things that you should not do in the Philippines. Now, one of those things is you never want to get confrontational. In the US, for instance, in many other Western countries, it's very normal to, if you're at a counter and somebody's being slightly rude or edgy, you normally would say something, or at least I would, and then that person may say something back, and then that situation kind of escalates, and you get louder, they get louder, and usually one person stops or somehow the situation is resolved, and that's the end of it. But normally you would tend to escalate, and you'd get louder, and yeah, that's the way it's handled there, or in the West. Now here, it's kind of a non-confrontational society, so people tend to be more quiet. They don't raise their voices. And so if you're in a situation where you need, or you feel the need to raise your voice, when you do this, whether it be with a taxi driver or in a hotel lobby or in a grocery store, whatever the situation is, once you start raising your voice, you're actually to the Filipino people and to anybody around you, you're going to look very foolish. So you're going to embarrass yourself. And if you happen to be with Filipino friends, you're going to embarrass those people. So you really want to remain non-confrontational. If you can't do that, then you probably need to think twice about going to the Philippines. Because if you do cause a problem, and and security is called or what have you, it's not going to end in your favor. So it's one thing that you really need to be aware of, and you need to be able to control yourself. That's it's really important. So kind of let the little things go, and don't be on edge if something's not perfect. Things are definitely a little bit different here, and you need to kind of go with the flow. So everything's not like in the US, everything's kind of done in a timely manner. If you have for instance, if you have a doctor's appointment, the appointment may be at 9 a.m. You show up at 8:45. The doctor may not get there till 9:30. And so sometimes people call this Philippine time. It's pretty normal. I've actually had somebody, a cab driver, say to me once, "Well, what time's your appointment?" I told him 9 o'clock. He goes, "Oh, you may as well wait till 10 because they're not going to be there." Oh, I get there at 9. Sure enough, they got there about 9:30 or so. So things are a little bit more slower, a little more at ease. It's not like in the US, for instance, where it's boom, boom, boom. Everybody's on time, everything's in order, and it just doesn't work that way here or in many other countries, for that matter. The next item I kind of wanted to cover was in the Philippines, there is no divorce. So if you're in the Philippines and you're meeting someone, you want to make sure that person isn't married, because if they are married, you're breaking the law at that point. You could actually be arrested for something like that. And there's a multitude of different things that could happen. Number one would be, yes, you're breaking the law. But number two is that if that husband of that person, if they wanted to file a complaint, you could be thrown in jail for it. You could also, be, I've heard stories where people have, been extorted, to pay somebody money just to avoid being arrested or by the ex-husband or by the ex-wife, so it's just best to totally avoid that situation. Make your life easier, have a good time when you visit, and you don't want to get caught up in something like that. It's a bad way to go. So the next item is you always want to make sure you always have cash. Sometimes you could, you may go to the mall, for instance, and these are large malls here, so there's no shortage of stores. There might be 5 ATMs in this mall, and they may be all out of order or out of money, so never let your cash get down, to a really low amount. It's a bad idea. Always keep a couple thousand pesos at hand in case you have, in case you need some cash, because you could be several days without it. It does happen sometimes. Okay. The other thing regarding cash is you want to make sure you keep small bills with you. A lot of places, a lot of stores, restaurants, etc., they will not break a $1,000 peso, bill, which is only $20, but they may not have change, for that 20 or for that $1,000 peso, that large bill. So you want to make sure that you keep some hundreds and 50s and 20s. Don't let yourself get down to $1,000 peso, because it could put you in a bad bind if they can't break that. And I have had that happen, where they just say, I'm sorry, we can't change it. So then I've got to go to another store to make a small purchase and get change. But if you're in a smaller town or something, then that may not work, and you might be in a kind of a small hardship there. So that's important. Always make sure you keep enough money on hand, and always keep some small bills with you. Okay, now the last item here that I'm going to cover is, you want to avoid taxi scams. It's kind of rare. Most taxi drivers are really honest, and you won't have any issues. However, when you are, when you're new to visiting the Philippines, it's kind of like they can actually, they can tell, they can sense it. And so one way to just avoid that issue all the way around is to go ahead and you can go ahead and sign up for Grab. Grab is also good if you want to have food delivered. It's very inexpensive. The food delivery here in Cebu is only about maybe 50 cents, when you order food. So, I would say go ahead and use the Grab app, or any other app like that. But it's kind of good because you know how much you're going to pay for that taxi ride ahead of time. Now, as you've been here for, if you end up staying here for a while, and let's say you've been here for 3 weeks or something, then at that point, you can, if you get a taxi ride directly and the meter's on, the Grab ride would normally, let's say for me, if I'm going to the mall, that Grab ride might cost me 150 pesos, about $3. But if I take the taxi directly, and if they don't try to pull any funny stuff, it probably would cost me just under 100 pesos. So it'd be just under $2 at the current exchange rate. So yeah, so anyway, I hope these tips have been, kind of beneficial, and yeah, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day or night, whatever time it is, wherever you are. All right, thanks so much.